Hello everyone. As you know, I've spoken often and very clearly about one particular point. Politics and sports should not mix. Sport is meant to be about competition, performance, bringing people together. But unfortunately, the reality of the world we live in is that politics does get into sport. Politicians, governments, and political decisions often end up influencing sporting events and their athletes. Look, it's highly regrettable, but it is what it is. And that is the reality. Now, once politics enters the arena of sport, we are faced with a very important question. What about the athletes themselves? They're in the thick of it. Think about it. If governments and politicians are making the decisions whether a match should be played, whether a team should tour, whether two countries should face each other, then what position does that leave the sportsmen in, the athletes, the cricketers? Are they now expected to make political decisions on their own? Are they supposed to decide whether to shake hands or not, whether to smile at their opponents or not, whether to talk to their opponents or not? Look, this is where I think the situation becomes unfair, because you are placing athletes whose job it is to play the game into the middle of a political storm where every gesture, every action, every look is being analyzed. Let me give you an example. Imagine, the upcoming India-Pakistan Asia Cup match. The governments of both countries have decided that yes, the games will go ahead. The players walk out onto the field. Now what? Should they shake hands at the toss? Or should they avoid it? Should they chat with one another in the middle of the field? Or is that a no-no? If they share a laugh or a smile on the field, will that clip go viral and cause controversy for those players? If they sit next to each other at an official dinner, does that send out all kinds of, conflicting messages? Look, these are not sporting questions. These are political questions disguised as sporting gestures. And it is unfair, very unfair, to expect the cricketers to know instinctively how to act in those sometimes unexpected situations. Because no matter what they do, they will be criticized. If they are too friendly, someone will accuse them of being insensitive. If they are too cold, someone will accuse them of being disrespectful. So, what's the answer? Look, if governments and politicians are going to interfere in sport, then they also have a responsibility. The least they can do is to give clear and specific guidelines to their athletes, their cricketers. In this case, the PCB and the BCCI, the national federations, should sit with their governments, decide on the conduct that is expected, and then communicate that to the players. For example, yes, you may shake hands at the toss. No, you should not pose for casual photos of the field. Yes, you may acknowledge opponents on the field. No, you should avoid sitting together at official functions. Look, I'm not saying that these should be the rules that should be applied. I'm simply saying that whatever the decision is by the governments and the federations, make it clear for your cricketers. Give them clarity so that they know exactly how to act. That way they can focus on their job, which is to play cricket or football or whatever the sport may be, without constantly worrying about the political implications of their behavior, which is out of innocence. But let me come back to where I started. My firm view is that politics should not mix with sport, but because it does, and because that is the reality of this world, governments and federations have a responsibility. They must protect their athletes from unnecessary criticism by giving them clear guidance on how to conduct themselves. Because athletes are not politicians, they are sportsmen. They should not be left carrying the burden of political decisions. And those decisions are made far above their heads. So I think that's only fair. What do you think? Till next time.